So, I've got some good news and bad news. The good news is that I have myself a new workspace, so I can be way more productive because it's about 17 times bigger than what I had before. I followed Bobololo's advice, and by mean that, I copied him completely. Since he has himself this nice little white picnic table, I went out and got myself one too, and it works infinitely better than what I was trying to use before. I can have all my tools on the side, and I have plenty of space to move the blaster around without knocking anything off. It's wonderful. The bad news is I sound like a total idiot because I have a cold, but instead of doing the polite thing and waiting for the cold to pass so I can, record a normal video for you, I'm going to record a couple anyway because I haven't put one out in a while. Partially because I've tried to review this thing or go over it about 7 times now and can't seem to come up with a cut I like, so I'm just going to do it once more. But instead of trying to show you step by step what I was doing, I figured I'd just go over what I did and that will be infinitely easier on me. Yes, a total cop-out. But what I'm going to go over here is what seems to be a typical Sharpfire, except it's got a piece of brass sticking out the front. But that's not all. There's also a piece of brass in the bolt. What exactly going on here? Well, it's what I think is the easiest sealed brass breech you could possibly make. Essentially, you take out the bolt in there, you unscrew the screws right there, pop out the spring, push it down with your finger, and you can pop that out with the plunger head. Just make sure you're holding the trigger so it can get past the catch. And I sanded the opening of the bolt maybe about 1/2 inch deep, sanded it so it would accept a piece of 9/16 brass, which is this brass up here. Once it fit in snugly, I pulled out the 9/16 brass and I shoved in a piece of 17/32 brass until it was nice and flush. Once I did that, I cut and measured my 17/32 brass so it fit in there perfectly, and then sealed it in there by putting a dab of hot glue where the air release hole is, and that sealed the brass in there to the actual plastic of the bolt. Now, if you can kind of see, it's hard on camera, but there's a gap between the 17/32 brass and the plastic on the original bolt. That's the gap I sanded, and one that allows it to do is fit in that 9/16 brass, and what that does is give me a completely sealed breech, meaning that instead of losing all the air power right here, it's now losing it up here, but the dart itself is all the way back here, so it has a longer barrel for it to build up momentum using the air power before actually releasing itself. It's very, very typical of a breech. However, this one was really, really simple to do, so I encourage those of you that are kind of new to Nerf modding and want to get into rebarreling and doing brass breeches to start off with this guy, because I got a remarkable power increase just by doing this, and if I were to put it in some kind of orange modwork spring or something in the back here, I'd get a lot more power out of it and have myself a nice pocket sniper rifle. I still wouldn't recommend trying to use this blaster in a war, no matter how good it is, because, it's really difficult to open this up and shove a dart in there, close it, and fire. In fact, I can try to grab a dart right now. Just a random one from my box, but you can kind of see, fits down in there. It fits easy. That's because I sanded the inside of the brass. Just a few millimeters is actually going to make it much easier to feed a dart in, and it is going to completely seal and then fire. Admittedly, it's not firing very well right now because I ran out of lubricant and put my hands all over the bolt and the O-ring, so it's a little dry in there, but it's still working really good. So, very, very simple mod, and I hope some of you get to try it. Thank you very much for watching.